Welcome to Shadow History, where we uncover the dark, forgotten, and untold stories that shaped our world. On the night of September 22, 1979, a single American surveillance satellite named Vela 6911, orbiting high above the Earth, detected something impossible over the remote South Atlantic Ocean near the Prince Edward Islands controlled by South Africa. It recorded a perfect double flash of light, the unmistakable optical signature of an atmospheric nuclear explosion. The first intense burst, followed by a second, longer one, caused by the fireball expanding and cooling. This was the telltale sign that a nuclear weapon had just been detonated. No country on Earth claimed responsibility. What followed was one of the most controversial cover-ups of the entire Cold War. In this episode, we dive deep into the Vela Incident, the hidden evidence, the political pressures, the declassified documents, and the alternate timeline that could have changed the nuclear world forever. Let's go back to that fateful night. Just after midnight UTC, at approximately 0053, the Vela satellite's two bang-meter sensors captured the double flash. These instruments were specifically designed to detect atmospheric nuclear tests banned by the Partial Test Ban Treaty. Over its lifetime, Vela had successfully identified dozens of confirmed nuclear explosions with this exact signature. The signal indicated a low-yield blast, likely between 1 and 3 kilotons, detonated at low altitude, possibly just above the ocean surface. The location pointed to a remote stretch of sea between South Africa and Antarctica. Almost immediately, alarm bells rang in Washington. The CIA assessed the probability of a nuclear test at over 90%. President Jimmy Carter was briefed. His own handwritten diary entry from that very night captured the uncertainty. There was indication of a nuclear explosion in the region of South Africa, either South Africa, Israel using a ship at sea, or nothing. But publicly, the White House needed to downplay it. To investigate, the administration formed a special scientific panel led by MIT professor Jack Ruina. The panel included heavyweights like Nobel laureate Luis Alvarez. Their mandate was supposedly technical only, ignore politics, yet many insiders later called the final report a whitewash. The Ruina Panel concluded in 1980 that the signal was probably not from a nuclear explosion, suggesting instead that a small meteoroid might have struck the aging satellite, causing sunlight to reflect oddly into the sensors. Critics pointed out that this explanation had major flaws, and the panel seemed to ignore or downplay inconvenient data. Meanwhile, other evidence began to surface, evidence that pointed strongly to a real nuclear test. Hydroacoustic sensors, underwater microphones used by the U.S. Navy, picked up signals consistent with a near-surface explosion in the same region. Declassified letters and reports from the Naval Research Laboratory described unique acoustic patterns only produced by maritime nuclear detonations. One senior Defense Intelligence Agency official privately called the Ruina report flimsy and influenced by political considerations. Then there was the radioactive evidence. In the weeks after the flash, scientists in Australia detected low but measurable levels of iodine-131, a short-lived fission product from nuclear explosions, in the thyroid glands of sheep slaughtered in Victoria and Tasmania. Independent scientific analysis, including papers by Lars Erik de Geer and Christopher Wright, showed that wind patterns could have carried a fallout plume from the suspected test site directly over southeastern Australia. The timing and concentrations matched a September 22 low-yield detonation. Additional data from the Nimbus 7 satellite even suggested a small ozone disturbance consistent with a nuclear shockwave.
So, who did it? The strongest evidence points to Israel, possibly with logistical support from apartheid-era South Africa. The two nations had a close, secretive military and nuclear cooperation at the time. Israel maintained a policy of nuclear ambiguity, never officially admitting to possessing weapons. A covert test at sea would allow them to advance their program without triggering international sanctions or admitting possession. President Carter himself grew more convinced over time. In a February 1980 diary entry, he wrote, "We have a growing belief among our scientists that the Israelis did indeed conduct a nuclear test explosion in the ocean near the southern end of South Africa."
Why did America bury it? Political reality. The late 1970s were a delicate time. The Camp David Accords had just brought peace between Israel and Egypt. Publicly accusing Israel of a secret nuclear test could derail Middle East diplomacy, damage relations with a key ally, and complicate efforts to stop nuclear proliferation elsewhere. South Africa was also a strategic partner against Soviet influence in Africa. Exposing both nations risked massive geopolitical fallout. So the official narrative became probably a meteoroid or inconclusive. Many key documents remain classified even today. Now let's explore the alternate timeline, the road not taken. What if the cover-up had failed? What if the world had learned in 1980 that Israel had conducted a nuclear test with South African help? International pressure might have forced Israel to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty or accept inspections. Sanctions could have followed. The delicate balance of Middle East peace might have shifted dramatically. Apartheid South Africa could have faced even stronger isolation earlier. The precedent of secret testing might have emboldened or deterred other nations like Pakistan or Iraq in the 1980s. And today, in 2026, with rising nuclear tensions in the Middle East and elsewhere, this incident serves as a stark reminder of how secrecy, ambiguity, and political convenience still shape the global nuclear order. The same questions of trust, detection, and accountability remain unresolved. Almost half a century later, the Vela incident stands as the only unclaimed nuclear explosion in history. No country has ever admitted it. The files are still partially sealed, but the converging evidence, optical, hydroacoustic, and radionuclide, tells a darker story. A story of shadows, alliances, and the hidden forces that continue to shape our world. This has been Shadow History. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the Cold War's most mysterious events, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for a new video every Saturday. What do you think really happened on September 22, 1979? Was it Israel and South Africa, or something else entirely? Share your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, the past is never as simple as the history books claim. See you in the shadows.